All right, team, here we go.
Maybe it's better I don't know which camera I'm looking at.
I've got a couple cameras. Jason's like, which one am I looking at? So, Sarah from Yoga for BJJ here, and we have something really cool for you. This is Jason, and basically he is everything for me that isn't jiu-jitsu. So we're looking at conditioning, diet, recovery, cardio, everything. And that has to do with the kettlebells. Jason's been a strength coach for over 20 years.
Really long time.
For how long, Jay?
Over 20 years. Yeah, it's been a while.
For over 20 years. And he's brought me to a couple world titles and competing against the best in the world, doing incredibly well. So today we're looking at how the Getup relates to your jiu-jitsu game. Jason's gonna go ahead and show the Getup.
Okay, yeah, cool. I was gonna say, why don't we just look at one so that everybody knows which move that we're talking about, although you've probably seen this before. There's a few variations on it, so I will show you what the hardstyle Getup looks like.
This is the mic for you guys.
Oh. It's got the fuzzy little end on it, isn't that nice?
Hard style Getup. Doesn't look like a lot.
Doesn't look like it a lot, but there's a few steps in there for sure.
Yeah. We'll break this down in regards to how much it's helped the jiu-jitsu. A little tricky with the mic, but you guys will be able to hear us regardless, so that's fine.
Yeah, so I've taught this lift to an awful lot of people. So the good news is the people who seem to pick it up the fastest, grapplers and yogis, right? So in this audience, looks like we've probably got a good combination of both. And it's just the weirdness of the transition. It's less weird for grapplers and yogis than other people, and that's that low sweep part here where we have to turn our knee over and find the ground. Your average gym people find that one a little bit strange. But with the Getup, it does a really great job of creating total body connectivity rather than training in pieces. A lot of shoulder stability, and while like we've talked about a lot of times, I don't really believe in sports-specific training a whole lot, but there are positions in jiu-jitsu and positions in that move, and I'm sure everybody probably saw a lot of them, that happen to be very similar. So this, functional is a word that's been used in fitness for a really long time. I think lost its meaning a while ago, because what's functional for one person or one sport could be quite different for somebody else. So I like the word transferable, and the Getup is very transferable to jiu-jitsu. So it's worked well for you. I know getting out of the bottom position is where it comes in really handy, or transfers really well, and probably standing up or like standing guard breaks, it transfers pretty well.
Yeah, so something that has helped me in a really, really big way is underneath side control. So actually, go on this side if you don't. Jason also trains jiu-jitsu too. Okay, under side control. Talk about rolling up.
Oh my goodness, it's been a while.
Boom, right there, under side control. And if I just push up, that's not gonna do a lot. However, if I plant my elbow and I'm rolling up to the side, even better, other side, he's working on passing side control. Plant this elbow, and I'll take this armpit. Before they have stapled me down, plant this elbow, and I'll push over to create space. So I'll use this a lot. Sometimes I'll be able to drive them all the way over, but this is massive. Now let's take it apart in the Getup, because I'll push the elbow, boom, and over. There's a lot of shoulder stability in that too. So that's the first one.
Whole bunch of being able to create force off of your back from largely like a stalled or stopped position. So with the Getup, the beginning of it is called the reach and roll, And this is probably where it transfers to Jitsu really well. As you see, the pretty common mistake with the Getup is there's no sit-up in the Getup. So when someone's trying to crunch forward, that's a different exercise.
Here, I'm just gonna clip this mic onto you
Oh,
there,
here,
Jay.
so they can hear me good.
There you
So,
go.
like you were just showing there, the beginning of the Getup is called the reach and roll. So I'm reaching to the ceiling with the hand that's holding the kettlebell, but I'm actually rolling away from it or to my side and onto this arm, which is the position that, like you just showed, in Jiu-Jitsu, you end up here a lot. So, like I said, transferable, yeah, definitely. Having to resist the weight or being pushed back down onto the mat, because Sarah does this with 32 kgs, which is 70 pounds, a pretty significant amount of weight. And to have your arm having to stabilize that in so many different, well, every direction up here, while you're posted onto this arm, again, really transferable. And even teaching the body to be able to make force right here. And I always cue Sarah and my other clients to peel themselves off the floor rather than trying to pop. And if you've got somebody who's already putting pressure on you, you're not going to be able to pop very well from here. You're going to need grinding pressure to get out from under them because there's just no room to make speed. So the Getup teaches that part real well too.
And the other one is recovering the guard. So if someone is really, really big, let's go on this side. This is my right here, Jay. Okay. This is my strong side where people usually pass, right? People pass, oh, sorry, let's go back just a little bit. So people will pass, working on passing the guard. And I train a lot of gi jiu-jitsu. But once they start to pass, I'm posting with the arm. Now watch, right hand, post, boom. So I'll go here and I'll either get up or get out or I'll pivot back in. But I've had training partners that are honestly, I was 160, they were 230, 240. I'm holding them off here, grabbing the gi, and I'm doing this, recovering back. So I'm on the shoulder, and I had a very deep appreciation of this shoulder stability. But with that movement, being able to keep them off for a long time, how does that break into the Getup?
Well, so you're building that stability with the reach and roll down here, because here's a good point. So when I've cued you to do this, so if I reach up, come and lean on my fist, right? Put all your, or here, I'll do it to you. You do that spot, like just,
oh, yeah. Then you don't have right in front of you.
No.
Sorry.
So here, so just get to here.
Okay.
All right, so if she rolls up, if she's pressing hard into the mat here, I weigh around 200 pounds, I guess, probably today. I'm putting all my weight right on her right now. She's not going anywhere. You relax a bit through this shoulder though, no problem. So the Getup teaches you to move up to that position and that strong quickly. And when we practice something like that away from jiu-jitsu, this is just how you're going to end up doing it in real time too. So it teaches you to sit up quickly into this strong, like again, I'm leaning right, everything I got on her right now, she's not going anywhere. But a little bit slack through that shoulder, okay, one hand and one arm and we're pushing it around. So it teaches you to find that tension, the stability through your shoulder, but the tension through your abs or through the dirty C word, but through the core down here. And to be able to generate that force grinding from the ground rather than trying to pop. So that beginning part of the Getup, that's fantastic. And your standing guard break, because when we come up from half kneeling, like to stand up aggressively to that plank, I don't know how many times you've done that to me. It's embarrassing, really. But
this is one of my number one guard breaks. Doesn't matter how big they are. I'll grab the lapels, the gi. My gi's my game. Stand here and down. Sometimes they come up with me.
and you're able to hold them there too.
Oh, here, that's
right?
Your side,
So.
Yeah.
Just share our fuzzy little mic.
So maybe what I'll do here is, with Jay kind of helping cue, is we'll take it apart with the bell. Sure. Then you guys can see it. so I'm on my back.
She's on her back, and if she's gonna go, and actually, why don't we pull her on your head and start it?
Okay.
Just on this one.
Here, tape that on. You'll do most of the talking.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so one of the first things we wanna, she's gonna go just roll right onto her side to pull this bell off the ground. You can even go like into the full, yeah. So she's just done this so many times. This is why we rehearse, because she just sets it up without even, so go back right to the beginning and go just full fetal. So here's how you kind of want to start. You curl right up to the bell, and now she's got one palm over the other, and she's just gonna sort of hold the bell to her. She's using a really small bell for her capability, but she's just gonna kind of hold it to her body and then just roll over with it. So she's using her weight against the bells to pull it off the floor. And she brought it across her belly button, her low abs, because what that gets her is a vertical forearm as soon as she rolls over. Now, this is only a 12-kilo bell, so Sarah could pull it up here and straighten that arm out, but with a 32, that would be a whole lot more difficult. So we can start with that vertical forearm. Yeah, much stronger start. So now you can use two hands to drive that up. And get that to what's called the firing range. Jason, you're too hard to hear.
It's such good stuff.
Right? So she's going to lock that out now. And this is called the firing range. So what we want here is a neutral palm as opposed to internally rotated with her thumb towards her. Yeah, we're looking for a neutral wrist here, or even more importantly, like a bit of external rotation at the shoulder. And then she's going to squash her low back into the ground. She's going to make pressure here. Yeah, so you can't see it here. I'm on the other side, but I've tried to slip my hand under her lumbar, and she's squashed it into the ground so that I can't get it in there. So now she's going to set her free arm. I'm going to help her move it around the other side so we can go the other way. She's a black belt. She can do both sides. Right? So now she's going to push with this leg, and it's called reach and roll. So she's reaching up here, but rolling onto her side, but she's just as active pulling over on this arm. So that's not passive. If she was going to reverse this, right? Yeah, she's pushing away from that. The idea with the get up here is you're trying to avoid flexion in the spine as well. She's trying to stay neutral or in just a bit of extension as she rolls over. There's no sit up in the get up at all. Right, so she's moved her sternum completely away from the bell right now. This is perfect. So then, as opposed to trying to crunch straight up. She can do it because this is a relatively small bell, but to try and sit forward to immediately flex her spine like ribs to hips, no, that's not. Get her on me, right? So, but if she rolls to her side, we've got a much shorter lever in a different direction. That's what we're after right there. So now she posts up with that free hand. So she's sitting up tall. You will for sure see, can you do the high bridge? Yeah, you'll see this a lot. Go back to the ground then. That's not wrong. It's also not necessary. A lot of people don't have the hip extension to be able to get up like that. They end up sort of twisted to the side and with their pocket at the roof. So we use something called a low sweep. And that's just Sarah bringing her hips high enough off the floor to be able to sneak that knee through. That's as high as they need to get. And as the bell gets bigger, the sweep generally gets lower. So now here she's planted her hip, but she's not going to use these obliques to pull herself up to the side. She's going to use that left hip and drive it forward to get her torso up.
And if we pause, I'm going to put the bell now.
Yeah, the bell. We can do it without that.
This is the guard we talked about. Right here, all the time. You jump up to triangles, you're holding him back, you're resetting, you're getting up, you're standing out. That's that grip.
That's that one right there. So, and actually, yeah, you use the bell, don't use the bell, whichever.
I think
that's okay.
It's really cool visually if we
all right.
guess it.
Okay, so now so now here she needs to make a little bit of space because she's going to get up from this position by driving this hip forward, but there's not much room to move it from where she is right now. That femur is pretty much vertical. So to make some room to drive, she's going to sit towards her heel just a little bit. And you see how the bell moved with her whole body? Now she can drive that hip up because she's flexed it by moving her butt back towards her heel. Fantastic. So now she needs to square this foot up.
Either here.
There, yeah. So, and actually, you can move it back. So there's two options here. She can move the front foot or the back foot. That's a long time to be holding that belt. Yeah. Perfect. So go all the way up. Move this one around, square it up. So now she's in half kneeling. So now she's going to stand in the plank. guard break. Bam, standing guard break. Feet are about hip width. Sometimes I like to use a train track analogy with clients. Imagine she's got 1 foot on each track rather than standing with 2 foot on one or like on the balance beam. Hey, all the jiu-jitsu players, you all know what happens when you narrow the base. So we want to keep the feet relatively hip width here. Okay, so now take it back to the ground. So she's going to step back, opposite the bell, trying to take a step back big enough that she's got a shin that's vertical or mostly vertical here. And she didn't step behind her foot, she stayed on her 2 tracks. So now there's 2 ways she can move here. She can either bring this foot around, the front foot around to the side, or she can windshield wiper her back leg. Both are correct. I tend to prefer moving my front foot because it's just a little nicer on the knee. Windshield wipering the back leg is, that technique's been around longer. You probably see more of that. Both are correct. One's not better than the other. Well, I think the front foot's a little bit better because it's just nicer on the knee, but they both get you to the same place. So now she's going to get a hand on the ground. Am I still wearing the mic?
Yeah.
So getting to the ground is 2 things. Rotating through the upper back towards the bell, and then hinging on her hip, which we could probably bring over. Yeah, right. So now, this is more or less a straight line through wrist, shoulder, shoulder, down to her other wrist. And just like I was leaning on her before, and she can hold all of my weight right here too because she's stacked. If she's not, that won't go nearly as well. Or if the bell is out front. So what's important here in staying stacked is, how she just turned to bring her right eye towards her right hand. You want to try and, if your hand is on the ground, your eye is on the bell. As soon as your hand comes off the ground, your eyes go on the horizon. But right here, she's got her hand on the floor, so she's watching the kettlebell. And now she sits tall underneath it. So that foot has to go out wide. Now she's going to try and reverse the position from when she came off of the floor. Not by sitting, exactly, by moving to her side as opposed to trying to sit underneath the bell. Sometimes this happens. If I've sat too close to my hand, it'll be tempting to want to sit back underneath it. But our basic principle is the kettlebell moves in a vertical line, or as close to a vertical line as we can keep it, and we rotate underneath the bell. So,
tell us about...
I'd say you look like you had a thought.
Strong first, the difference between strong first and other types, because I do the strong first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, without going way down the rabbit hole, history of kettlebells, there's hard style kettlebell, there's sport kettlebell, and there's a whole bunch of other styles, I suppose. But the kettlebell came, out of Russia by a guy named Pavel Tatselin, who was the head originally of the RKC and now the head of Strong First. So it's a style of kettlebell lifting. It's the original. I mean, I would say that Strong First or the RKC is to kettlebell sort of what Gracie means to jiu-jitsu. That's where it all started. Outside of sport, that's where hardstyle came from. That's the lineage. So that's what we teach. That's the style that I've learned and have found that's the most effective.
Awesome. Do you want to give me the mic?
Sure.
We're working on this mic thing. I know it's weird. I know. So do I, actually. I'll wear it half the day sometimes. I'll be like, I'm still wearing my mic. So what I found is I was really excited to share what Jason knows about the technical Getup, and it has really changed my jiu-jitsu, especially I didn't even know the power of having the shoulder stability, even until people start to sweep me. They're trying to sweep me, and I'm on top and trying to keep my balance, and I still got it, right? So if you guys have questions, make sure to write them in the comments, send them over, and I can ask them to Jason, or if you just like this and share it, then go ahead and do that, because we're always looking for ways to make our jiu-jitsu better. Do you have anything else to add? So much.
You know me. We could add all day.
We could talk for years.
For sure. I would say that, of all the different exercises out there to learn, like I said, I don't think sports specific is a real super thing, but highly transferable exercises. And for jiu-jitsu, the Getup has just got to be one of the most transferable. And for a long time, you know, or let's say martial arts is slowly starting to embrace strength training, but let's face it, you get better at jiu-jitsu and you get better at yoga by doing yoga and jiu-jitsu, so as opposed to lifting. So we want to just sort of spend as much time in the weight room as necessary so that you can go back to wrestling. That's how you get better at wrestling. So as far as efficiency goes and like use of time spent and teaching just total body connectivity and strength and in movements or in patterns that are very common to jiu-jitsu, it's tough to beat the Getup. You know, it just, so many different things pop up throughout that movement that just happen to be, I forget what it was called, but Steph had another sweep that we had video of the one time, but the Getup just pops up all over the place in grappling. So as far as time well spent and return on your investment for your time for your sport, yeah, it's one that you should probably learn, but it's tough to learn. It's tough to learn just off of YouTube. So I'm super happy to give as many tips as possible, but wherever you are, if you go on the StrongFirst site, it's an international, StrongFirst is an international brand. We've got instructors like myself all over the world. Everybody's listed on the website. So if you want to find somebody who's in your area, StrongFirst, or so nobody gets too upset, RKC, also do really great Getups, but those are good people to learn from.
Jason doesn't get paid to say that.
No.
He doesn't get paid.
Not even a little bit.
Not.
No.
In fact, he's probably losing money
it's
right now.
probably costing him money, so.
Being doing this with me, you know, he's not working. But yeah, it's so true, because doing the weights to be able to be on the mats more, doing the yoga to be on the mats more.
That's exactly.
So
that's why we're training,
yeah.
for sure.
All right, team, that's a wrap.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was fun. Anytime I can talk the Getup, I enjoy myself, for sure.
I know, we could talk about it
I
for
don't know where the camera or the mic is. It's okay.
It's okay. He's supposed to be good at strength training, not technology. Right? That's my job. All right, everyone. Super fun to hang out with you, and we will see everyone next time. And, I guess I'm not good at technology either.